You have been misled your entire life. You were taught that anger equals power, that rage shows strength, and that when someone disrespects you, your fury is justified. But here is the truth that Machiavelli understood 5 centuries ago, and that most men never fully grasp. Anger is not power. Anger is surrender. The instant you feel heat rise in your chest, the moment your jaw tightens and your hands clench, you have already lost. You have given control of your kingdom to the person who provoked you. They now steer your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And you, the so-called strong man, become a passenger in your own life. This is the trap. This is the game that weak people play without realizing it. They provoke, they test, they disrespect. And when you react, they win. Not because they are smarter or stronger, but because they discovered your trigger and used it. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must never act from emotion, only from calculation. The man who masters himself commands the room. The man who gives in to anger becomes a tool in another person's hand. Think about every time you lost your temper, every argument, every confrontation, every moment you said something you regretted or made a choice you wished you could undo. What did anger give you? Nothing. It only took from you. It stole your clarity. It stripped your dignity. It removed your strategic advantage. Today, that cycle ends. You are going to learn how to become untouchable. Not through aggression, not through suppression, but through something far more dangerous. Understanding. Calm, deliberate, Machiavellian understanding, the kind that makes you impossible to control. Let us begin. Understanding the game. Here is what most people never truly understand. The world is a stage. Every interaction is a performance. And most people moving through life are unaware of the roles they play. They react without reflection. They speak without intent. They provoke without direction. When someone insults you, disrespects you, or tries to pull you into their disorder, understand this clearly. They are not acting from strength. They are acting from unconsciousness. They are controlled by their emotions, their insecurities, and their unresolved issues. And they want you to join them in that same mental prison. Machiavelli observed that men are driven by 2 forces: fear and self-interest. When someone attacks you verbally, when they try to belittle or undermine you, they are acting from fear. Fear of your presence. Fear of your potential. Fear of something within themselves they refuse to confront. This is the game. And once you recognize it, you cannot ignore it. The man who understands human nature at this depth does not become angry. He becomes curious. He observes. He studies. He notices the invisible strings guiding everyone in the room. While others react, he gathers information. While others lose control, he gains it. You must train yourself to see every provocation as insight into the other person's mind. What are they afraid of? What do they want? What unresolved issue is driving this behavior? When you ask these questions instead of responding emotionally, you move from victim to observer, from pawn to player. The game has always existed around you. The difference now is that you are awake. You see the board. You see the pieces. And you will no longer be moved without awareness. The mask of indifference. There is a weapon more effective than any argument and more damaging than any physical response. It is the mask of indifference, the expression that reveals nothing, the eyes that show no injury. Machiavelli understood that perception shapes reality. What you feel internally matters far less than what you display externally. The man who appears unaffected becomes unaffected in the minds of others. And in the realm of power, appearance carries weight. When someone attacks you and you show no reaction, the balance shifts. They expected resistance. They expected disorder. They expected you to break or erupt. Instead, they receive nothing. Silence, stillness, a calm, steady look that communicates, "You are not worth my emotional investment." This is psychological pressure at its highest level. You do not need to respond. You do not need to justify yourself. Your composure protects you. Your indifference disarms them. Practice this. Refine it. When you feel tension rising, let your expression remain cold. When words rush forward, hold them back. Allow the silence to expand. Let them wonder what you are thinking. Let them question whether their attempt even mattered. The unreadable man is the most dangerous presence in any room because no one can predict his next step. No one knows his thoughts. No one knows their position with him. This is power, not loud or desperate, but quiet and controlled. Wear the mask until it becomes natural. Train your reactions until calm is automatic. Let them label you distant. Let them call you emotionless. They will never call you weak, and they will never control you again. Reframing the attack. Every insult is a signal. Every attack is a disclosure. You only need to know how to interpret it. When someone approaches you with mockery, disrespect, or aggression, they are not exposing anything about you. They are revealing themselves, their fears, their insecurity, their need for validation. The weak man hears an insult and asks, "What is wrong with me?" The Machiavellian asks, "What is wrong with them?" This shift changes everything. Train your mind to treat provocation as information, not injury. When a man mocks your ambition, he reveals his lack of direction. When a man attacks your confidence, he exposes his own doubt. When a man tries to embarrass you publicly, he announces his need for attention. Once this becomes clear, anger loses its grip. How can you be angry at someone who is displaying their own weakness? How can words disturb you when they describe the speaker more than they describe you? Machiavelli wrote that wise men learn more from enemies than fools learn from friends. Every person who attacks you is offering insight. They show you what threatens them. They reveal where their pain exists. They provide a map to their psychology. Use it. Remember it. The next time someone tries to hurt you with words, do not ask why they said it. Ask why they needed to say it. What void are they trying to fill? What inadequacy are they attempting to hide? When you recognize the fragility beneath the aggression, insults lose their effect. Their words fade into background noise, and you remain untouched. The power of strategic silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is power in its purest form. When someone provokes you and you say nothing, you create a void. And within that void, their own words return to them. Their aggression turns inward. They expected opposition. They prepared for conflict. Instead, they face emptiness. And nothing unsettles a person more than the absence of response. Machiavelli understood that the man who speaks first often sacrifices advantage. Words create positions. Words form commitments. Words can be used against you. Silence cannot be quoted. Silence cannot be reshaped. Silence cannot be defeated. When you refuse to engage, you force the other person to fill the space. And in doing so, they reveal more than they intend. They over-explain. They escalate. They make errors. While you observe. While you learn. While you stay in control. The pause is your tool. Master it. When someone insults you, do not respond immediately. Let 1 second pass. Then 2. Then 3. Watch their discomfort grow. Watch them question whether their attempt succeeded. Observe the shift in power without saying a single word. Most men are addicted to reaction. They believe every attack requires a response, every accusation a defense. This is weakness disguised as confidence. The truly powerful man understands that silence communicates more than any reply. It says, "You do not deserve my energy." It says, "Your words do not reach me." It says, "I operate beyond your level." Let them exhaust themselves against your calm. Let them rage into emptiness. Your silence is a fortress, and no one enters without permission. Detachment from outcome. Here is the chain that binds most men. They need approval. They need validation. They need the world to reassure them that they are enough. And because they need it, they can be controlled by it. Remove approval and they collapse. Withhold validation and they unravel. This is not strength. This is dependence dressed as confidence. Machiavelli understood that the man who needs nothing from others cannot be controlled by them. The moment you release your attachment to how people see you, you gain freedom, real freedom. Not the false kind where you pretend not to care while still hurting inside, but the genuine freedom of placing your value beyond the reach of outside opinion. Ask yourself this: why does an insult hurt? Because part of you believes it may be true, or because part of you wants the other person's approval. Remove both, and the insult has nowhere to land. Passes through you like air through an open window. You must build validation internally. Your sense of worth must come from your own standards, your own principles, your own judgment. When you reach this point, you become untouchable not through arrogance or self-deception, but because your foundation is internal, not external. No one can take from you what you do not receive from them. Let people disapprove. Let them criticize. Let them reject you. These are conditions outside your walls. They do not enter your home. They do not reach your core. The man who has mastered detachment does not need the world to submit to him. He does not need enemies to apologize. He does not need universal understanding. He understands himself, and that is the only approval that ever mattered. Seeing people as instruments. This is where the path becomes difficult for many. But if you want true immunity from the emotional disorder others create, you must change how you view people. Not as friends or enemies, not as allies or threats, but as instruments, functions, pieces on a board that either serve your purpose or do not. Machiavelli did not write for idealists. He wrote for realists, and the reality is simple. Most people in your life are temporary. They enter, they exit. They serve a role for a time. When you become emotionally attached to everyone, you give them influence over your inner state. Praise lifts you. Criticism drops you. You become controlled by forces you never chose. The Machiavellian cuts these strings. He observes with distance. He asks direct questions. What does this person contribute? What role do they play? Do they add value, or are they distraction? This is not cruelty. It is clarity. You can still treat people with respect. You can still act with integrity. But you do not give them authority over your emotions simply because they are present. When someone disrespects you, the question is not, how dare they? The question is, does this person matter to my objective? If yes, address it strategically. If no, remove them and continue forward. No anger. No resentment. No wasted energy. People are variables. Some add. Some subtract. Your task is to calculate carefully and invest emotionally only where it serves you. Once you master this, no one will hold power over you again. You decide who matters, and most will not rule your inner world. Ruling the inner kingdom. Before you can lead anything in this world, you must first govern yourself. Machiavelli never allowed his readers to forget this. A ruler who cannot control his impulses will be consumed by those who can. A man who cannot manage his reactions is already defeated, even if he does not realize it. Your inner kingdom is the only territory that truly belongs to you. Your thoughts, your emotions, your responses, this is your domain. If you fail to guard its borders with discipline, intruders will enter freely. Every person who provokes anger has crossed your walls. Every situation that disturbs your peace has breached your defenses. Every word that lingers in your mind and poisons your mood is an enemy moving unchecked through your halls. This must stop. You must become the ruler of your own mind, not harsh toward yourself, but firm and unquestioned in command. When a thought appears that does not serve you, remove it. When an emotion rises that weakens your position, deny it fuel. When a reaction begins that would give power to someone else, end it before it shows. This is not suppression. This is control. Most men are ruled by emotion because they have never chosen to rule it. They excuse anger as natural. They justify resentment. They allow bitterness to shape their days and blame others for it. The Machiavellian accepts full responsibility. He knows no one can force him to feel anything. Others provide stimulus. His response is his decision. Train yourself daily. Reflect on your reactions. Study the moments when you lost control and examine them like a commander reviewing a failed campaign. Where did the breach occur? What thought came first? What belief made you vulnerable? When you understand your weaknesses, you can strengthen them. When you recognize your patterns, you can interrupt them. The man who governs his inner kingdom moves through chaos untouched. Disorder surrounds him, but within his walls there is structure. Enemies shout at the gates, but inside his mind there is silence. This is the aim, not to eliminate emotion, but to rule it so completely that nothing external moves you without consent. The long game. The fool reacts immediately. The Machiavellian responds with timing. This difference separates those who are remembered from those who disappear. When someone wrongs you, instinct demands instant retaliation. Strike back now. This is the amateur's path. Weak men trade long-term advantage for short-term relief. In doing so, they expose themselves, drain resources, and create unnecessary enemies. Machiavelli taught that timing determines outcome. The wise ruler does not act when emotion demands it. He acts when strategy allows it. He waits. He observes. He lets the other believe the matter is finished. And when the moment is right, when defenses are down and attention has shifted, he moves with precision. This is the long game, and it requires patience most do not have. Hold your response like a card you will play later. Not from fear, but from understanding. Revenge, if it comes at all, is most effective when cold. Hot revenge is careless. It reveals intent and often costs more than it gains. Cold action is exact. It arrives unexpectedly and leaves no room for response. But there is a deeper truth. When you master patience, you often realize retaliation is unnecessary. Time handles many conflicts on your behalf. Those who wrong you will repeat their behavior. Their character will produce consequences without your involvement. Patience preserves your energy while reality does the work. Do not announce intentions. Do not threaten. Do not warn. Observe, remember, and continue building quietly. Let them think the matter is forgotten. The long game player forgets nothing. Everything is recorded. And when the time comes, the account is settled on his terms. Patience is not inactivity. Patience is power waiting for the correct moment. Becoming untouchable. You have moved through these ideas. You have faced truths many avoid their entire lives. Now you stand at a crossing. On one side is the old version of you, the reactive one. The man who surrendered power whenever someone pressed the right button. The man who allowed strangers, co-workers, family members, and anonymous voices to disturb his peace. That version had a role. He showed you the cost of living without control. But his time has ended. On the other side is the man you are becoming. The untouchable one. The man who moves with calm clarity. The man who uses emotion as a tool, not a chain. The man who treats provocation as information, silence as leverage, and patience as strength. This is who Machiavelli wrote for. Not dreamers, not idealists, realists who understand the world rewards discipline, not emotion. Strategy, not reaction. From this moment forward, you follow a new code. When insulted, you analyze. When provoked, you observe. When pulled toward chaos, you remain centered. They will wonder why you do not respond. They will feel unsettled by your calm. They will question whether their words had any effect. That uncertainty is your power made visible. You do not need to display strength. Your composure communicates it. Your discipline earns respect. Your self-mastery makes you formidable. Let others keep their outbursts. You are no longer playing that game. You have built an inner kingdom that cannot be shaken. Empires rise and fall. Opinions change. People come and go. But the man who has conquered himself remains steady and untouchable. This is your path. Walk it with strategy and patience. Remember what you have learned. The trap of anger, the game beneath the game, indifference, reframing, silence, detachment, inner rule, and the long view. These are not theories. They are tools. Use them daily. Practice until reaction fades and control becomes natural. If this message has shifted something within you, leave a comment below with this phrase, "I am the storm." Let it mark the end of the old you and the rise of the new. If this perspective brought value, support the channel, subscribe, and stay connected. We are building a space for those who refuse to be controlled, those who choose patience, discipline, and clarity. Welcome to the game.